So remember that we're not broken stones per se, but we are unfinished temples. And our task is not to be flawless, but to become whole.
Hello and welcome to our third lecture about Spiritual Freemasonry with Chris Earnshaw. I would like to say hello to people who have been with us already 3 lectures, so we are growing together. And that's exactly the idea, one lecture at a time. And we're always getting practical advice from Chris, things we should do and things we should maybe write a journal. And I'm here reaching out, please people, also maybe use our YouTube channel, put some comments, what you liked, what you got inspired, some feedback. Let's build a bit of a community. We're going through 22 lectures together, so it's also great if we can a little bit share the things that we have experienced. And with this, I'll give the floor to Chris. Hello and welcome, Chris.
Thank you. So I have in my hands the manuscript for this book on spiritual Freemasonry, and I will read from this to introduce the lesson on the Rough Ashlar. The Rough Ashlar is about working on yourself, making something that is raw into something that is refined. So in Freemasonry, we have these 2 ashlars, which are cubes of stone. We have the perfect ashlar and we have the rough ashlar. And so the rough ashlar is a spiritual principle. And a lot of Freemasons probably do not recognize the depth of this lesson. Because in my books on spiritual Freemasonry, I tie in Freemasonry with Taoism. And the Rough Ashlar is very much a Taoist symbol. So in Taoism, there's this importance of, first of all, naturalness, like in nature, which they call zerang. Then the virtue of not forcing something to happen, which is wu wei. And finally, what the kind of inner cultivation, which they talk as xiulian. And these are kind of exercises that Taoists take, but in fact, they also work very well with Freemasonry. And the spiritual principle is that transformation happens through aligned refinement. You don't have to force it. You have to just move into it. And this is what this lesson will be about. And so in the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu, there's I think it's chapter, I know it's actually in chapter 48, he says that in the pursuit of knowledge, every day something should be added. In the pursuit of the Tao, every day something is dropped. So Taoism is not achieving or collecting, but it's actually about simplification. And these are, of course, this is all explained in my previous books, particularly Initiation by Light, if you like to refer to that. So this exercise, sorry?
I just wanted to add like a personal bravo in this sense, because this is what most of spirituality and also faith is a lot about. So many things are unexplainable and you just have to accept them. You have to open yourself up to it. So this is really, again, a universal principle that you describe here, that basically you can't force spirituality.
So in Taoism, it's a natural process of unfolding rather than forcing a kind of perfection. And this is what the Rough Ashlar refers to. In Freemasonry, the text says that the Rough Ashlar represents the imperfect, unshaped self, that we are full of potential, but we need careful and conscious work to help us grow. or to develop. And each Freemason is tasked with working on their own stone using the tools of the craft, and the craft, of course, is Freemasonry. And so the idea is the moral lessons that are taught in the degrees are used to refine your rough stone. But it's not that you become perfect in a worldly sense, but the idea is that you become perfect to fit into the spiritual temple that Freemasons are building. And that's an important point. Second thing is this is Masonic understanding, and then the Taoist understanding teaches that nature is already perfect, even if it looks like a rough stone. And so it's flowing and balanced at the same time. So the idea is not to become artificially perfect, but to restore harmony. And so by letting go of things that you have probably taken on and during your life, and in Taoism, these are the things we need to let go. You need to let go of what is no longer serving you or what is no longer essential to you. And so we are working with patience and flow, but not force. See,
Which I guess,
yes,
if you look at our modern time, if you look at what is offered in the spiritual realm, basically on the internet or in real world with retreats and pitch perfect Instagram yoga pictures, and then you listen to that, it really warms the heart. At least for me, that is my reflection. I just want to give back to your lecture, just a bit of say something. It feels great to hear that, because one feels lost at times looking at the Instagram world of spirituality, and
right.
it just feels good to hear it.
We have 3 exercises, every lesson built of 3 exercises. And firstly, I'd like you to open your journal and put in the date and put in the subject on the left-hand side, Rough Ashlar, and then to draw a kind of jagged circle. And this is your rough stone, raw stone. And right around it, any patterns or habits that you feel are rough in your own lifetime. And some of these, for example, could be impatience or a tendency to doubt or overthinking something, even fear and things like this. So write this around this jagged circle that you've drawn. And then inside the circle, draw a smaller circle, which doesn't have to be perfect, but is totally round without any jagged side. And this is what you want to cultivate, this inner quality. You are going to shape your stone, your ashlar, and with clarity and gentleness. So what you do is that for each of the qualities you've written around your ashlar, for example, let's take doubt. This is something everybody has a problem with. Uh, in a meditative state, think about your doubt. And every time you breathe in, imagine light coming in. And every time you exhale, imagine that your doubt is being weakened. It's not being extinguished or demolished, but it's just being weakened. You don't want to force the whole process. It just has to be softened, like water softens stones, makes jagged stones round. This is the process we're looking for. Breathing in, you breathe in the light, and then when you breathe out, you let go of some of that doubt that you are clinging on to. And then you could probably, if you want to, you could add an affirmation. For example, I polish this stone with patience. Nothing is forced, nothing is hurried. So once you've got on to been doing that for a few days, write in your journal, and the journal is where you learn about your growth patterns. You would say, I accept my Rough Ashlar at the starting point of my sacred work. Each day I choose to work on myself with doubt, or working on the doubt in my life. And that's about it. So it's a very simple, non-aggressive way of looking at perhaps imperfections or things, challenges you need to work on. So remember that we're not broken stones per se, but we are unfinished temples. And our task is not to be flawless, but to become whole. And so we cannot afford to reject the stone that was rejected. That's actually from the Royal Arch, but a Rough Ashlar, work on it, and it's part of you, and this will take you on to the next, prepare you for the next lesson. Thank you.
Well, thank you again. It is always such a practical advice, which makes this book definitely unique. It's not theoretical, it's not metaphysical, it's just really hands-on. Just do it, practice it, and you will feel the results. And with this, it was a short, crisp lecture. Everything that needed to be said was said. And again, I invite you, leave a bit of a comment, share your thoughts on this, about this. Let's build a small community. 22 lectures is a long time that we are experiencing together, luckily. So let's bond over it. Thank you so very much, Chris, and I hope to see you again in 2 weeks. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.